Welcome in, everybody. It is Tuesday night. We are here. It's Tuesday night. It's the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two Live. Go like, subscribe, comment. The NFL draft is over. We wanted it for 4 months. We finally got it. Now it's time to dive into the rookies, the veterans, and everything. Tonight is going to be a special edition rookie mock draft, 12-team Superflex. We're going to take turns. But before I do that, there's a new member of the family, the Fantasy Cheat Sheet family. We'll introduce in a second. Jamie, how are you doing, my main man?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Just excited that the draft's over. Kind of sad. Didn't go the way I wanted it to. But, we just got to adjust our rankings and stuff like that.
Oh, we will get into that in a little bit, my man.
Yep.
You know that for sure. And the new man, Reggie. Shout yourself out. Tell them where they can find you on the socials, and let's get this party started.
If you guys happen to be watching, it is posted next to my name, The Network One, on Twitter and all the social medias. You can find me, and we come weekly with a Twitch stream, usually. Fantasy football commissioner extraordinaire of the stars. Been getting a lot of stuff going on in the beginning of this early rookie draft, and I think I've completed one rookie draft, 12-team Superflex so far, and I'm in 3 others, and I have 3 starting Friday. So I'm in the trenches, baby.
Hey, I was messaging Jamie earlier. I just took Malik Neighbors at the 105 about an hour ago. So we are golden on that, and I am shocked I got him at the 105, but that is good. Let's just get right into the show so we can get to our mock draft sooner than later. First off, we got to get to a little bit of news. First things first, Jamie. Ezekiel Elliott is going back to Dallas. We talked a lot about Zeke last year, even though he was a Patriot. What do you think overall? What do you think fantasy-wise? What's your take, buddy?
Yeah, I don't think they wanted him. They just missed out on everyone they were targeting in the draft, so they were left with him. So he's going to get the work. I think Rico Dowdle is also someone you might want to target later in drafts, but it just makes me think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. So you got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks there that could be values. And then Ferguson, they might do 2 tight end sets with Shoemaker and Ferguson. And who knows, Trey Lance might even get some design runs.
I mean, who knows? We'll see about that. I don't know about Trey Lance is a whole nother show on it, a whole nother topic, but we'll get into that later. Reggie, what do you think about Zeke going back to Dallas?
Well, I think this is a pure case of if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Zeke looked at times serviceable with the Patriots last year. He's probably coming home to roost. I think, what did he get? Like a $2 million deal.
Yeah.
There's a small chance he doesn't even make the team if he's truly gassed out, but I doubt that from Jerry Jones. I think that it's a hot mess. They didn't adjust the position in the draft, and it's not really news. You know what would be news to me? Dameon Pierce gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys. I
heard that today.
That would be
I heard
news.
that today.
I would love that. I would love that move.
Oh, that would. I mean, Houston. I'll use my time for this because you guys both nailed it. I'll just say, Houston. If that did happen and Pierce ended up on Dallas, because Houston did give all the money to Joe. They didn't draft another guy like they thought. I mean, I could see that happening. Who knows? We'll see. What is going on, Rotonaut? What are you up to?
Well, the comment on that, they did pick up somebody late or undrafted.
Yeah, it was undrafted.
I think Jordan, but I don't want to give up all the secrets. We got some cheats coming at y'all later.
We'll get you on some stuff in a little bit. Yeah. Another piece of info, another signing. I don't think it matters much, but it's relevant just because he is leaving his old team. Boston Scott is leaving the Philadelphia Eagles officially because I heard that the other day. Boston Scott. Well, I heard the other day they might sign him. They might re-sign him, and then they go and draft a certain running back. I will not bring him up quite yet because a certain somebody likes that guy. Maybe he'll be brought up later. He is now an LA Charger. So you got Gus Edwards, you got J.K. Dobbins, and now you got Boston Scott.
Well, they need someone to steal touchdowns.
You know what that means to me, Jamie? They don't have a running back. They still don't have a starting running back. We'll see about that. I mean, yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit because I don't think they really have a starter. We were surprised they didn't draft Blake Corum. Another team signed him. We'll get to that in a second. But overall, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And so, Jamie, this next piece of news, I'm going to give it to you first just because you love talking wide receivers about this team last year. Me and you got in some very hot debates about this team's wide receiver core. Not this player, but this player. What happened with our players affected this player.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, I know you do. So you were all over Christian Kirk last year. I was all over Calvin Ridley. And then Zay Jones becomes the thing. Well, guess what? Sorry, Zay. You can't become the thing anymore because you got cut today. Officially, Jacksonville Jaguars waive, cut, however you want to call it. Get rid of Zay Jones. Jamie, is this a big thing or a little thing or a zero thing for Trevor Lawrence?
I think it's a zero thing. I mean, they got their new receiver in the draft. They got one in free agency from the Bills and Gabriel Davis.
Hold on. Yeah, no. They got a half. They got their rookie and they got half a player. Okay, Gabe Davis is half a player. You know that. I know that. Half a player.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not a big deal to me. Them losing. I'm interested to see where he actually ends up landing. Like maybe he does go to Dallas if they're going to plan to pass more because they do need some help if they can get him at a discount, or maybe goes to Baltimore. We'll see.
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to end up at this point. Reggie, what do you think about Zay Jones?
He's not going to end up on my fantasy teams. I'll tell you that.
No,
it's alarming. I think you just said Scott just signed with the Chargers and Zay Jones was released. And that is news. That is breaking news to me. And I try to be on point with everything. I think it says to a couple of leagues I passed up on a certain rookie that I'm considering. I'm wishing that I didn't. I think that's more news than the Dallas news. Jones was loved there. Everybody liked him there, so I didn't expect them to cut him.
Yeah, I mean, the rookie, I'll bring the name up. Brian Thomas Jr. got drafted there. We'll get more into Brian Thomas in a little bit. But overall, I think this is a little news, but not big news or not no news. You will learn really quick, Reggie. This is not a Gabe Davis show. This is an anti-Davis experience when you come on here.
Yeah, the one time that I was a Gabe Davis apologist, he just crapped the bed the next week. So.
Yeah, like it was bad. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Gabe. I messed up," and then he shit the bed. So, but just like any show, the three of us, I'm sure we'll come up with players we like or don't like. Let's just get straight into it. We'll do the draft. I was going to ask some questions about the draft, but I don't want to give too much about our opinions of the players. So we'll just give. So what we'll do is we'll get the pick. We're going to give you a pick. We're going to give you our pick. It's going to go around the horn. Reggie's going to go 1. I'm going to go 2. Jamie's going to go 3, all the way around to round 1, and then we'll do a recap. Each player will give a little bit of. Obviously, with a couple players, it's pretty self-explanatory why we're picking these players, but after that, and maybe depending on time or whatever, I'll keep track of the time during a pick. I might say, "Why did you pick this player?" or "What is there something about this player?" Depending on where they went in the draft or whatever. Let's just get it started off. Reggie, you'll hear me say this every time we get to the main section of the show. Class is in session. It is time for the cheats of the week. Reggie, kick it off with the 101 in our first ever Superflex mock draft.
I'm going to kick it off with a bang. I'm going to go against consensus. This is a Superflex, and I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. To be put in this position, I'm going to say You know that commercial, like when you got insurance money, I want it now. I play fantasy in a space of today, not tomorrow, and that gets me in trouble sometimes. And being on a national show and saying what I like and dislike, I might just be mixing it up. But just listen to me for a second. I want the points that Marvin Harrison is going to produce this year. He's the only wide receiver in his class that I think will top 1,000 yards this season. And with Kyler Murray, I think he has he's going to be a difference maker and increase in value. Caleb Williams is put in a position for success, but I'll let the next person speak about him. But I don't want to wait for it. This would totally depend on our teams, but we don't have teams, and this isn't a startup. This is a rookie draft. And in this space, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. one-on-one.
Yeah. To echo one thing you just said before we get into my pick, since we aren't building teams, we're just picking best player consensus at that pick. We're not actually building teams. But besides that, BPA, these two are absolutely super close. Me and Jamie have been in discussions and mocks or whatever that it's almost 50-50 sometimes in talks. But at the same time, I completely get your pick. At the 102, I am taking Caleb, hands down. I honestly took Marvin in a 101 this morning, dependent on the situation. It was really, but overall, if I was building a team, I get your point. But if this is a rookie, if I'm building a team and it was just based, I'm going Caleb because of the upside at the quarterback position with Superflex. Obviously, if this was one QB, I would not even be thinking of Caleb. I would be hands down smashing the Marvin Harrison. Like some other podcasts have brought up, Caleb is probably in the best position talent-wise around him than any 101 QB pick possibly ever. I mean, even Luck, even Lawrence, they didn't have the talent around them. You got another rookie that'll be drafted soon. You got DJ Moore. You got Cole Kmet. You got Keenan Allen. You got do I have to say it? You got Roshan Johnson. You got Khalil Herbert. You're welcome, Jamie, for calling out your boy. So Caleb's got the talent around him, so that's a must. I'll be honest, Reggie. I gotta say this before I kick it over to Jamie. This is where the wild card starts because I have no idea what this guy's going to pick at 103 because there's been times where he goes a little rogue. Are you going rogue or no, Jamie? Take it away.
If it was pre-draft with the landing spots,
you were going rogue?
I would go rogue.
Okay.
But I'm going to take my actual number one fantasy football quarterback, not NFL quarterback, but I do believe Jaden Daniels will be the number one over Caleb for fantasy points. He's got that rushing upside. He can get you 1,000 yards, add 10 more touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
He's got decent weapons around him. So I like Jaden Daniels, and I am taking him. I would take him possibly over Marvin Harrison Jr. if at the 102, if he fell there. But yeah, it's a big debate. I know he's got a slim frame, could get injured, but guess what? He's not injured right now. He's healthy. I'm not worried about his injury.
I'm not. I see your point. I still think it's blasphemy that you say that as an Ohioan, but how I love to see. I don't get it. He's from Ohio. He lives in Cleveland, and he hates MHJ.
I don't hate him, man. He's my number one wide receiver in this class right now.
Okay.
I had him number two, but
we'll get
number one.
Hold on until we go rogue. When we go rogue, when somebody goes rogue pick, I will throw it to you because I know. Reggie, who are we taking at 104?
Okay, at 104, if I was to stay the theme,
yep,
I would go with. I'm going to go Drake May in the sake of this is a super flex and I need a quarterback. The quarterback will be more valuable then maybe a different position. So I'm going to play yin and yang with each and one of my picks because I'm in so many drafts right now. But the process can work to how you see fit in the situation you're in. Drake May, they drafted a couple of wide receivers. I believe they got an offensive lineman. They don't have a lot to work with, but that group is going to grow together. That coach seems like he has more of a plan than some of the other coaches we may talk about later. At 104, I'm going Drake May in a super flex.
All right. So it's kind of funny we're here, Jamie. It's kind of funny we're here. So, Reggie, I messaged Jamie earlier today, and I was at 105. 104 went a little off rogue, off whatever. I'll just say I'm not the biggest fan of Drake May. I have to say that just for context of what I'm going to say. So the first 4 picks of my rookie draft went Caleb, MHJ, Jaden Daniels. 4 was a little off. 4 was Roma Dunze. So I was sitting at 105, but the reason I bring it up, we don't need to talk about that. But the reason I brought it up was I was between the 2 players I am actually in between right now. The 2 players I'm in between right now are J.J. McCarthy and Malik Neighbors. So I was between those 2 since I wasn't as high on Drake. So I asked Jamie, hey, what would you do in this draft? Blah, blah, blah. We talked about it. I ended up taking Malik Neighbors partially because of fit of that draft. We are not building a team in this.
Twins. I did the same thing at 105 today.
Oh yeah.
Same 2 players you mean stuck between, except for Dunze May went. But I did the same thing.
So we are but for this exercise, we are not building a team. I'm going purely off of my ADP. So at this pick, I am taking Jamie, you ready for it? At the 105, I am taking quarterback J.J. McCarthy.
Ow.
So I am taking J.J. McCarthy purely for one reason, Reggie. One reason only and one reason. The position he's in with the draft capital and the fact that he's a quarterback. That's it. So
you doubling
Jamie,
down. I see it. Good one.
Jamie,
Good one.
take your 106, and if you are taking who I think you're taking, will you talk a little bit about why he's called the rogue pick?
Yeah, he's easily it's going to be Malik Neighbors right here. I had him at my 101 in Superflex before this draft. So getting him here at the 106, that's hands down value. He's stepping into an offense that's going to get him with 140 targets right off the bat. They can get him a brand new quarterback next year if Daniel Jones don't work out. So I'm taking that. He's going to be a great receiver for the next 10 years. You can get him the ball anywhere on the field. He's got that top speed, especially when he's downfield, like 20 yards down the field. He can just turn it up even more. No one's going to be able to keep up with him. So as long as you can get someone to get him the ball, he's going to score points all week, man. Like, he might get 140 targets. They might not be the best of targets, but they're still going to be that 140 targets.
No, you're 100% right. So that was at 106. So, Reggie, 107, who are you taking? Or no, you're at 10. Yeah, you're at 107.
Yeah, I'm up right now. As of right now, I have to get truthful of who I would take in this situation amongst all my teams, and I would have to go Rome Odunze because he hasn't been picked yet, right?
Nope,
He's
you're
still
good.
on the board. Yeah. I would have to pick him for the future. I know that wouldn't necessarily be a play for this season per se. Could I get some usage out of him? Maybe if one of the many massive Pro Bowlers in front of him was to come up lane for a couple of games. But this is a future play, like having Caleb with Rome, and they go make sweet music together for years to come, and the targets will come. I think he will outperform a player like JSN. They're not quite the same players. I think you can possibly move Adunze across the formation and use him in a lot of different ways, and you don't have a massive drop off when he's giving somebody a breather, and at the same time he doesn't come in having to do it all.
Okay, I completely get that.
I
Follow up.
actually think, with Allen being 32 years old, who's to say that he can't outproduce him even in year one?
I think it's going to depend on which one of the two they throw in the slot, because Keenan can play. The one thing that I appreciate about Keenan Allen is that he can play the big slot, and with a rookie quarterback, short target on the slot, big body, long arms, that, the wide contested the wide, what am I trying to say?
Catch radius.
Catch radius. That'll help. Quick follow-up question for you, Reggie. If they were both on the board, because I know how we've talked about, just not building a team, but just straight down the middle. If they were both on the board, and the reason I'm asking is because for our listeners, the fact of some people are still, I got a coworker at work that's in his first off season of Dynasty. He's never played before. It's his first off season, but his league doesn't draft till June 1st. And there's people like us that are degenerates and are already done with drafts. Or there's people that don't stop drafting like Jamie. But at the same time, knowing what people think, even if we're in a draft, it's nice to know, hey, even if these two players are off the board and they're close in consensus, what direction would you go? So my question to you is, if Rome and JJ were both there on the clock, who are you taking? Because this is one I've seen go both ways.
I think so there's two worlds. Before the draft, I would probably say Rome all day. But after the draft, I think I'm taking JJ. And okay. it's landing spot, and it's the potential of JJ being a solid Kirk Cousins type. I don't think the potential is through the roof, but he's going to be a solid contributor on your team for years to come. With what we're all talking about, what the weapons that Caleb have. What about what JJ is working with? He got some guns over there too. He can go over there and flex all he want. So I think he's set up nice too. Well, even if it's on like a Brock Purdy level, I'll take that, because that's consistency. And I think his rushing floor, I think he's going to rush more than we think. He moves.
Oh, well. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I think he's going to rush for a little more than we think too. Real quick. All right, so I just want to make sure on something. My computer is being faulty. Hold on.
So JJ, I know Chad's like, they not making no sense. This is difficult when you're currently in 4 drafts. No, I mean, even then, I think, but even then, I think you're right. I think we're both right, just in the sense of, how am I trying to say it? I think we're both right in the sense that there's still people out there that don't play Superflex. And with that being said, there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, I'll admit, when I started playing Superflex, and it was a handful of years ago. What's up, Gator? It was hard for me to value that number 2 QB. And you think you could a lot of times, if you think you get that one stud, and then you think you could just stream the second quarterback, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Injuries happen, bye weeks happen. JJ has the potential to be a low-end QB1, high-end QB2, steady Eddie for years to come. He could be a quarterback that plays 10 years, and 5 of those years are in between 10 and 14. So at my pick of the 108, we're not doing tight end premium. A certain person asked that because I know why he asked that. However, I am not going that player. There is a player that people are expecting me to pick, Jamie. Talking about that, Jamie, I know who you think I'm going to pick, but I'm not. And Reggie wanted to bring this other player up earlier in the night.
people think I'm going to pick a certain player because of my hat. I'm not picking that player. I'm sticking to my rankings for this. I'm sticking to my guns for this exercise, and I am drafting Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know. I know what you thought. I know where you thought I was going. I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. Just like Reggie said on his pick, there is a chance that my pick is not a slam dunk right off the bat. He could take a little bit of time. You still got Christian Kirk there, and you got that half of a player, Gabe Davis. So I'm taking Brian Thomas Jr. at the 108. Do either one of you have a comment about that pick? Besides, I'm shocked you picked him.
Yeah, I mean, with the people left on the board still, I understand why you picked him. I actually moved him down, surprisingly. I loved Brian Thomas Jr. going into the draft. Don't love his spot necessarily as much as other people that are in front of him, but yeah, no, I can't argue with that, man. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't argue with that pick.
Okay, so
I've seen him all over the place in a couple of drafts. I've seen him in the second in the Superflex. I watched a lot of all 21, all 22, a couple of games, and I was not impressed with the run blocking. I was not impressed with some effort on a lot of plays. There was some things that he's so big and his physicality is kind of absent, and the labrum being toward the medicals that came out kind of explained.
That's the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, that it kind of explained what I saw on film. You know how something comes out later and you've seen something, but you couldn't explain it, and having a bum shoulder, that would explain not the willingness to block.
Yeah.
So I put 1 + 1 = 3 sometimes, but that was something that had me off of him. And in so many wide receivers that's Trevor Lawrence has to throw to. Now you told me Zay Jones is gone, one of his favorites when healthy. Now I'm like, where I'm seeing him slide, I'll take him, but I can't take him this high. I have another wide receiver higher than him right now.
I know there's a couple. I know who. I don't. There's one that I think is getting picked right now. Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Gator with the one trick pony.
No, I know. Me and Gator have had discussions on
run
this.
like three routes, but he does it at an elite level. So I could see him maybe just doing those 3 routes the way he needs to do it this year, and then maybe learn a few more going forward. But I can see him being a number 1 receiver on a team going forward in a few years. So my pick here. So you went JJ McCarthy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Then you went Thomas. This is another easy pick. I have to go Brock Bowers right here.
I knew it.
Yeah, the top tight end prospect of all time. His best comparable player on Player Profiler is Travis Kelce.
God, did you really have to pull that out of your ass? God, you and your athletic.
Yeah, no, this dude can do everything. He can play in the slot. They can move him to the outside, put him in tight end position. He could run the ball. So he might even be their best running back on their team right now. But yeah, easy pick for me. Give me Brock Bowers.
Who is your pick, Reggie? I was going to ask a follow up, but as soon as you said the best running back, I just can't do it. I know you're living in Oakland, and I can't even ask you a follow up question because it was that bad.
Yeah. Bowers. It's not tight end premium. I don't know what the rate. I wore my NASA sweatshirt tonight because the Raiders got hit with the Bob gun. They're going to outer space. I don't know what they smoking.
Yeah,
but they need so much more. They just spent the second rounder last year on a tight end. Do they know what they have in place already? I know they're going to run 2 tight end sets. I think it has, and if it works, it's going to work really well. But they didn't have the luxury to make that pick, so I can't even. I hope it works out. He's a big slot. that they're going to be able to play inline, offline. They're going to play them both at the same time, but his upside might be capped on the fact that he's a rookie tight end, and who knows?
Yeah. So who is your pick at 111?
At 110, right?
Or I messed that up.
110. All good. I got you. I wrote it down. But I'm going with somebody who pre-draft, I was like, I'm not getting none of that guy. And after draft, I'm getting all of this guy. Every draft I'm in, I've got him today. I don't know. I've not had a bigger swing for somebody after the draft, I don't think, in time, even though he's going to Kansas City. Fool me once, fool me twice. Third time is the darn charm. Give me Xavier Worthy in that upside, hoping that they use him in some sense in motion and do some of the stuff they did with Tyreek Hill. And just, I want to feast or famine. I'm going Xavier Worthy with the 110.
All right, so we got the 110 is Xavier Worthy. Jamie, let me have this one for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
I got some grief for saying that I didn't like this pick. But I'm talking as a Chiefs fan. I'm not talking fantasy right now. And I just want to explain myself because it's not that I don't like the pick. I love the talent. I really do. When we moved up, I just had a gut feeling that's who we were going after. When I heard there was a trade, there was rumors that we wanted a DB. I'm kind of upset about that still because I think DB was more of a concern in real football. But the reason I was not as happy as some people thought I would be about the Xavier Worthy is one thing and one thing only. If you cover the faces of every one of our wide receivers in just plain black jumpsuits, they look like the same gosh dang player. They're all the same. I don't mind us drafting a receiver. I wanted to get a receiver that was a different size, different body. I wanted to get the bigger wide receiver to be able to balance off of the other ones. We just went out, and I know Rice has his own thing. That's not even bringing it up. But we just went out and signed Hollywood Brown. And Hollywood Brown is a small, fast, twitchy guy who can run down the field great. But I just wish we had a little bit bigger body because the only other big body we got is freaking 34 years old and, probably on some jet right now with Tay-Tay. So that's the only reason I'm not upset about the pick. I just wish we would have gone a little bit different. But don't get me wrong. This guy's going to be a talented player forever. So this is part of the draft that gets a lot tricky, right, guys? There's another quarterback. This is where people think that a running back could slide in. Jamie already took the one tight end you could take at this spot, which pushes down a couple of the wide receivers. Quarterbacks can get pushed down, which could be valuable in the second round to get a QB. So at the end of this first round, I could go a few ways. And the way I'm looking at it, I didn't think I was going to take this player at some point, but I think I'm going to. And I don't know how if I am or not going to end up with him in rookie drafts. But I am going to go wide receiver. I'm going because of the draft. I'm going because of the landing spot. I am going wide receiver, Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. This just seems like a target monster heaven. I understand he's going to Jim Harbaugh, but he's going to Justin Herbert, and they don't really have a lot of wide receivers. So to me, I'm just going to take Ladd McConkey. Reggie, you're giving me a face that I think you like. So do you like the Ladd McConkey pick here? And what do you think about Ladd in that offense?
I've been grabbing him a lot today. I get your guy. It's one of those guys that had a good landing spot, good draft capital. There's a bunch of Jags, and I like Josh Palmer there, and they got to throw the ball to somebody. We were just talking about Keenan Allen and his skill set to kind of one-for-one replace a player like Keenan Allen is a hard thing to do, but I think by them nailing, and I believe Ladd plays in the slot, but he'll slot right into that position day one. So if you need help right now, if your wide receiver core is in need of something you need to play right now that you can possibly depend on 10 to 14 points per game, rolling your dice on Lad should get you there. And I feel strongly about that.
Yeah. Jamie, why don't you go to 112?
All right. So Lad was going to be my pick.
Yeah.
I love Lad. You knew I was
I
getting him all over in my rookie mocks. So he was my last receiver that I really love in this range. So I'm going to go over to the running back. Well,
Knew it.
I'm going to go.
Which one?
I'm going to go Brooks. Going to the Panthers. I know it's not an ideal team because they're not that good. Miles Sanders is done. You got another guy that's not that great at running back. So I think he could be the starter right away if he's healthy, which I heard he's probably going to be ready for training camp. So I think he's going to get a bulk of the carries, at least 60, 65% of the carries. And they're going to need to lean on the running game with such a horrible passing attack with Bryce Young. So.
Yep, that is for sure. I think he is one of the two consensus top. We'll get to the other one soon, but I don't mind this at all. This is a spot where I think one or two, depending on the draft, could slide into the first round, depending on the quarterbacks and depending on. I think there's more people. I think there's more people out there that have Reggie's take on Bowers than are letting known right now. So I could see where Bowers could slide into the beginning of the second in not like just in the sense of like no tight end premium. If people want to push up QBs, if people want to take a risk on the wide, like for instance, like all you have to do is literally say, hey, add one more running back, and Bowers could slide to like 201. I'm not saying he's going to slide deep into the two, but he could just so one or two running backs could screw the pooch up in. So just be aware. Even though we're doing this and you hear Reggie saying, I got this guy, or I told you I drafted a Dunze today at the 105, every draft is different. And you'll see that in different formats too. I mean, just like when we talk Scott Fishbowl, there's some leagues that have 10 quarterbacks because the scoring's so crazy, 10 QBs in the first round. And then guys are saying, hey, I got this guy in the 301, but he went 205 in mine. I mean, so you just never know. It's all about your format.
I've got neighbors today at the 105. I've never seen in 4 drafts so far Bowers get past 107. I've seen Leggett go 111. Oh, we're still drafting, but I've seen variations.
But we'll just say this. No, you're good. Since you brought it up, I will just say, Jamie, could I be one of the biggest Leggett fans that you've seen?
Oh, Bowers went 104 in a draft.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You can see just depending on the situation. All right, Jamie, you ready to actually make your earnings today?
Yeah.
All right, let's do some work, Jamie. It's Jamie's job time. All right, Jamie, let's pay those bills.
Right down here.
Today, follow Jamie's finger while he shows you the QR code. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for every major sport. And I mean every major sport. There's MMA, there's football, there's basketball, there's playoffs going on, there's baseball. It's almost the summertime. Sign up with our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $100. It's that easy. Keep your cap locks on and just hit GF2. And you can start drafting your best ball teams now. And there's a chance that you get into a draft with Jamie and you don't even know it the way he drafts. I think with 2 rounds left or 2 picks left in a draft, he starts another one.
Try. Well, when I get in the second last round, I start another
I know.
one.
Exactly. All right, so let's do a quick recap, and then we'll get into the second round, and we'll go a little bit faster so we can get to the end of and be able to talk a little bit. 101, Reggie, Marvin Harrison Jr., I took Caleb Williams. Jamie took Jaden Daniels at the 103. Reggie went Drake May at the 104. Then I went J.J. McCarthy at the 105. Jamie with the steal, Malik Neighbors at 6. Reggie 107 was Roma Dunze. A little bit of a reach on me at Brian Thomas Jr. at the 8. Brock Bowers at the 9 for Jamie. Reggie took Xavier Worthy at the 110. Lad McConkey at the 111. And Jamie finished it off with the first running back off the board, Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, who went to Carolina at the 112. Reggie, kick it off at the 201.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a hard spot. At the 201, if I'm able to grab a possible first round starter in a Superflex, a first round quarterback, I got to go Bo Nix. I'm looking around my league to see who has Jarrett Stidham. This may be somebody looking to tear down. I'm just not going to pass up a chance to get somebody that's going to give me value if they hit the passing, that the offense. They got a player from college to join him. We'll probably talk about later, but I am taking Bo Nix with the 201.
So Jamie, I 100% agree that would have been my pick if Reggie didn't take him. What I know we weren't the biggest Bo Nix fans, but the question real quick that I have for you is, and Reggie brought it up in the first part of his take. With this draft capital, don't we have to take him around this pick?
Yeah, I have him slotted a little bit lower. I think he's my 16th off the board.
Yeah.
So that's only 3 spots. I mean, if you need that quarterback, you can draft him there, and even like you said, flip him someone.
I mean, there's the saying, draft for BPA and then trade for need. You can always use him as a piece. If you have the quarterbacks, you can always trade him for a piece to go further.
In some instances where I'm in some tight spots, I'm willing to trade back from a JJ, from a May to the 201 if I think I'm going to get Bo Nix. If I can get some plus, something falling back that far, I'm starting to consider it. Give me another first round quarterback. Give me a couple of seconds. Give me a late first, that second, and a future third. I am really doing that.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine. So I am up. That would have been my pick, was Bo Nix. So it's getting where most of the first round quarterbacks are, most of the first back wide receivers are off the board. The only ones left, no names mentioned, are the ones that people were a little perplexed by landing spot, but we'll get to that when it's their pick. So now this is that spot where a lot has to do with landing spot. I'm typing it in just so I can come back on camera. A lot of it has to do with landing spot, position this, position that. I am going Trey Benson, running back to the Arizona Cardinals. The landing spot to me is a good landing spot going to Arizona. Every year, I give the guy credit. James Conner, actually John Connor, thinks that he's gone, and he comes back. He ends up proving that he can be healthy. But Trey Benson could be that guy that supplants him because of talent, not just because of health. The guys they brought in haven't been able to over-supplant him due to health. Jamie, go for what's your 103, buddy?
Okay, Jeff's going to be proud of me for this pick here because
are you actually doing this?
I moved him up significantly high after the spot, and I was doing my rankings. I wanted to put him down so low, but I couldn't do it. I'm going to go with Buffalo Bills, Keon Coleman at this spot right here. I slotted him in as an early second-round pick. I had him at an early third-round pick before this landing spot. That's just I didn't like his profile, but I mean he did have like a high target share and a college dominator, and he did break out early. So those do check the boxes. And he has Josh Allen's big arm throwing on the ball. He's not the fastest guy, but he does got some burst to him. I'm happy with this pick here, and I actually told someone they're on the board at 207, and they screenshotted. I saw Coleman. I'm like, go Coleman.
So I got a follow-up question for you. Just because I know how low you were on him, is there any wide receivers, not players, is there any wide receivers that have already been taken that you would have drafted Keon Coleman over?
No.
Okay.
No, he was my next guy off the board.
So that's your line. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. That's all I need to know, because we'll talk about someone, but I was curious if you would have taken him over Brian Thomas now. All right, Reggie, you are up.
Okay. What are we at? The 204?
Yep.
All right. I think in the Superflex, I'm one of these guys. The offense, I'm looking to see who's left right now. I'm not gonna reach for who I really want. I'm going to go where I've been going in every single draft. If he's still here, Ricky Pearsall. That offense, this is a future play, just like the Rome and Dunze. This might not hit this year, but next year there'll be targets to be had. And they just retooled that offense. He's very versatile. I want a piece of that offense. Christian McCaffrey isn't going to be there forever. And sign me up for some Ricky Pearsall in the Superflex at the 204.
All right. I'm going to ask Jamie a question about this pick. Jamie, how high do you think he would have gone if he would have ended up on a better team?
I mean,
better landing spot. It's not a better team. Better landing. If he would have ended up on Buffalo, how much higher do you think this would have been?
I'd probably keep right around the same, honestly, just because in Dynasty, he's going to be 24 years old when he hits the field. And what Reggie was saying, if he has to wait a year or two, he's going to be 26 before you're able to even use him. So that's the only concern that I have. But the dude, I mean, he's got his metrics are awesome. If he landed in a spot where he was the number one, like the Patriots, maybe I would probably move him up a couple spots, but not too far, just because of that age difference.
Yeah. All right. So I am up at the 105 or 205. And to me, this is a slam dunk pick. I know this might not seem like a slam dunk to people, because he will not be the number one wide receiver on his team.
Oh.
But this is a slam dunk. And Jamie loves the number one on this team. This is a slam dunk, A.D. Mitchell.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Phew. I thought you were going a different route.
No. To me, this is a slam dunk, A.D. Mitchell pick. I do understand, just like some of the picks of this variety of this time of the draft, he's not the number one, and he's not going to be the number one soon, but he can work into a really good number two. It's not going to be a lot for him to overtake certain players. Jamie, we said it on Friday night. This pretty much makes Alec Pierce useless.
Yes.
I think it's going to be, I think we all kind of agreed it's going to be Josh Downs in the slot, Mitchell and and Pittman on the outside, Taylor in the backfield with AR-15. If that's not a dangerous combination, I'll be honest. I mean, that's pretty dangerous. For fantasy, that's a nasty team. I love him at this pick. I know it might not be the most popular pick, but that's where I'm going. Now, where are you going, Jamie? Because I honestly don't know.
Shoot, I do have one person above this guy, so I'm gonna stick with my rankings here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go Blake Corum to the Rams, just because he's gonna come in there. Yeah. What are you looking at? All right, so
tell the audience what the real reason. There's one real reason why you put him this high, and you have to explain yourself.
Because Kyron Williams is a fake bell cow. All right.
There you go. I knew it.
The dude's 190 pounds. He was getting 75% of the snaps. I actually think Corum's going to come in, even if they do a 50-50 split. in that offense, that's still going to get him a lot of touchdowns, a lot of carries, quality carries. I mean, you saw what Kyron Williams did last year. Now, Blake Corum's going to do it. Maybe not this year, maybe not like the first half of the year, but when Kyron gets hurt, which he will, Corum's going to come in and get those 75% of the snaps, and he's going to do more with them than the fake bell cow Kyron Williams was doing. Sorry for all you Kyron Williams.
No, you know I am not the biggest Kyron Williams fan, but as soon as I heard the word Blake come out of your mouth, I'm like, he did not go there at this point. Like, I knew it. I knew that's where I knew it. I didn't know it was going to be then, but I knew it. Reggie, why don't you just give us your next pick? Because I got to get away from this Kyron Williams hating man.
I'm just going to have to just keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? If I get in the draft and this player is still out there, there's no way I can let him buy me the Superflex. Give me Michael Penix. Yep. I'm hoping something. They got him that early because something ain't right with that leg. He gets on the field. It becomes, Alex Smith lost his job in San Francisco to Colin Kaepernick to an injury and then was traded. I don't know, but I'm just taking y'all back a little Barry of love right there. But I just can't see this player, a quarterback of his caliber. I know Jamie's going to give us that age thing. I'm going to is we cannot penalize ourselves or these players because that's what we're going to get probably for about another year because of COVID and because of NIL is going to keep this going. We're going to be getting older players whether we like it or not. But I'm taking Michael Penix here and hope that maybe he gets the starting job of one of the most high-powered offenses that we have seen in Atlanta since Michael Vick, possibly.
I like that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I was going to say, I like that pick. He was the next guy off my board, going by my rankings. They obviously drafted him for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have, after 2 years, they're going to have an out on Kirk Cousins' contract anyway. So
let's be real. In all our drafts, he's going to go before this.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that? Probably not before draft, but
I saw him go. The latest I've seen him go in a draft right now is literally at this spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting behind a guy that's going to be able to teach him the ropes of the NFL, and I like this.
One of the only reasons he even fell to this spot, 204 in the draft that I'm in, I'm not going to bring up the guy's name, but there's someone that hasn't even been drafted yet that was drafted at 110 or 111 in my draft, which obviously pushed, and he was probably the one that got pushed down. But it's a player that Jamie knows I like. He just hasn't been drafted yet.
Gotta love it.
I should say I liked, but keyword passed. All right, so to look at the board. Okay, now I think I know who I have a feeling I know who Jamie's afraid I'm going to take. I have a feeling, but hold on. And I'm not doing it just to screw with you, Jamie, so don't think that. There's 2 wide receivers that I have really close to each other. Actually, 3 that I have really close to each other. 2 that I didn't like as much as the other one. There was one that I liked better before the draft. Jamie knows it. But the landing spot. So I'm debating right now in my head if I'm taking that guy, if I'm going with my gut, or I'm going with a little bit better landing spot.
Oh, you taking my guy.
I'm just going to go with it. I'm taking Xavier Legette. I'm doing it now. Wasn't what I was going to do before. But, Jamie, I'm taking Xavier Legette here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think I would have drafted him? Just as much as you know how much I like him. Where around do you think I could have drafted him if he landed in a better landing spot?
If he landed in a better landing spot, he would be pushed up to where Coleman probably is.
I'm sorry, I would have taken him at 112. With a better landing spot. I had him as my wide receiver 7 going into the draft. That's how much he fell. The only reason I want to bring that up is to show people, I'm reaching on Xavier Legette a little bit to consensus, but he has dropped in my rankings enough for me to feel comfortable taking him here. It does still scare me. And when the player that I was going to take gets drafted, I will bring that up.
So I actually have Leggett over a guy that you took your last pick, A.D. Mitchell.
Oh, you still have Xavier Leggett over Mitchell?
Yeah, one spot, but yeah,
Okay.
It's
okay. So go for it, Jamie. You're up.
Okay, my favorite value of the draft.
Oh,
and
is it a wide receiver?
Yeah, I'm getting this guy everywhere. I would probably consider taking him in the early second, but I've seen him go late second, early third.
This might be the guy I was going to take.
And I think you're about to take my guy.
My man, Roman Wilson.
Yep, that's what I was taking.
I love Roman Wilson. I liked him before the draft. I liked his landing spot. Some people don't like
He loved him. He loved him.
So he's stepping into that Deontay Johnson role, right? He's a more electric, faster Deontay Johnson. He's going to get those like slot snaps. He can separate just like Deontay, even better. Deontay was getting 6 to 7 targets a game. So I believe that'll probably slot him in for almost like what? My math is correct, like 100, 120 targets if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how could you take him number he's a wide receiver 3 on fantasy teams, in my opinion.
So when I said I had 3 wide receivers bunched together, he was one of the 3. I have one more that hasn't been drafted, but it's him, Xavier Leggett, and one other person that I have bunched together. And there are drafts that I could be in the same predicament and draft Roman, not like I don't like my mind could change on these 3 players every 30 minutes of a day. But Reggie, who's your next pick?
My next pick, I'm kind of torn between 2 guys, but I know my next guy I've seen go in the third 3 out of 4 times. He's only went in the second once, and this guy I love as well. So go ahead and give me the capital of Jalen Polk, 6'1", 203 out of Washington. Somebody kind of come up and get some targets out from Drake May or Jacoby Brisket. But I'm right here in this range. I believe he got second round capital. The community seems to be sour because he played on a team that was amazing and he played second fiddle. I hope he's more versatile and does not have to be just slot only. I have to do my research on that because I also like Pop Douglas. So it's Kendrick Bourne coming off an injury, and who is going to be the alpha on this team? Who is going to have the most chemistry with Drake May or Jacoby Brisket? Right here in this range, I think this is good value. Give me Jalen Polk.
Jamie, I think you know why I got to grin, but don't say it yet.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah.
So I'm grinning.
there's the same reason I'm grinning. All right. So I could be way off on this one, but I have another one that is not the number 1 on his team. He might not be the number 2 on his team, but I'm picking the guy that I have bunched up with Roman Wilson and Xavier Leggett. And I was not, Jamie knows this. I was not, and Reggie, you'll learn there's guys that I love taking bold takes. 2 years ago, when the Jaguars were predicted, Jamie, you can ride this with me. You know I said it.
Nope.
When the Jaguars were projected to finish in the bottom of the division and they came and won the division for the first time in however many years, I predicted it before the season started. There's certain ones that I've been getting a lot right lately. There's been a few I've gotten wrong, but but the problem with this guy is I was so off on him before the draft, partly because his college production. It was partly because the team he went to or the college he went to. But landing spot, other people talking, I have more of a good feeling about this player now. You guys might disagree with me. I'm curious to see what Jamie says because I really haven't told him I'm on this guy now. Give me Jermaine Burton.
He was here to suck the toes.
I am 100% with you there. That was my guy other than Polk.
I was not on him at all. I was not on him at all. And for some reason, this draft has changed my opinion. Reggie, why do you like him? I'm curious because I was so off on him. I'm curious to see another person's perspective.
Watched them all 22. He's a player with first round capital, according to Matt Waldman. He's been in like 6 different schools in 4 years. He only fell in the draft is because he has a sketchy behavior issues apparently. And he would have went a lot higher than what the 4th round. I'm a future player. Like, I know I said I play in the now, but they will be high quality targets in Cincinnati, especially if they move on from Higgins. And Boyd is not re-signed there. And there's a spot for him. And Boyd has been flexible with Chase and Higgins. And Higgins has a history of not being healthy. So does Chase. Give me some of that Jermaine Burton, first round talent that needs to get his head on straight. And you tell me you put him in a position where you're playing for a Super Bowl, maybe he gets it together. Maybe he matures a little bit because the talent is there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I goofed up on something, but I'll figure that out in a second. All right, so my next pick.
He's going to start rising too. You're not going to be able to get. Everybody is starting to figure this out.
Well, it's funny. Burton texted me today. He screenshotted his waiver wire, and I looked and I see Burton, and that stuck out to me on his waiver after the draft, and I'm like, put like $50 on him.
Oh, hands down! Like,
that's just crazy for him being on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I mean. So we got one more pick.
I would take him over Polk if I had to.
Okay.
Like I just try to min max. Can I get him next round? But I've lost twice playing that game because I'm not the only one. We are not alone, okay?
Oh, no.
People know.
We're not alone. we are not alone. We're the degenerates, and we're definitely not alone.
Now they for sure know because we told them the cheat sheet.
Jamie, you are the last pick of the draft of the 2-round draft.
This round. So I love this player. I actually drafted him today in a league. Someone sniped Roman Wilson from me, so I went this route, the pick after. But I'm going to take the Dolphins' new running back, Jaden Wright, Mr. 420, because he was drafted at the 4th round, 20th pick. Mr. 420, I call him. Dude's electric, man. And even if he gets 33% of the snaps, you know how valuable those snaps are in that offense? And, injuries do happen. Mostert's going to get this year, he could get injured because of his age. So even if they split 50-50, like, I want those touches. We all saw what Mostert and A-Chain did last year together. They both had, like, 50-point games at one point. So give me Jaden Wright all day. I love this pick.
All right, so that is the draft. I am going to I'm changing up the show a little bit, but let's do this. You'll see what I mean in a second. Yeah,
you know how much I agree with you. Just earlier when I got off work, I traded a 20-25 second for the 301 just to grab Burton.
Hey,
I did.
That's nice.
I did.
301.
I'd do it again too. I knew I was like, I had 405 or something. I was like, here, take this second. Give me your 301. Boom, done.
All right, so let's recap the second round. Reggie took Bo Nix. Then I went Trey Benson. Jamie went, I'll just say it, Jamie, the GF2 Player of the Year. Everyone, it's Jeff's guy, so we're rolling with it. Keon Coleman. Reggie then went Ricky Pearsall. A.D. Mitchell by me. Then Blake Corum from Jamie. I'm just going to put, instead of Blake Corum on this, I'm just going to put Kyron Killer. Reggie goes with Penix Jr. I went with Leggett. Jamie went with Roman Wilson. Reggie went with Jalen Polk. Then I went Jermaine Burton. And then Jamie finished it off with Jalen Wright, running back. All right. So instead of going and just giving like who would do the third round or whatever, I am just going to do what I was going to do in the first half before we did the mock and cater it to the draft. How's that sound, Jamie?
Sure.
All right. So first, Jamie, who is a player? Let's go negative first, and then we'll go back to positive. Who is a player that has not been drafted yet because of either landing spot or draft capital.
This is one of my other favorite players. Sneaky guy.
But I mean in a negative. Like
Oh,
who's a player that got drafted,
that got
aka that did not know that we have not drafted yet in our draft.
Oh, it's going to be Marshawn Lloyd.
Okay.
Is that where you're going? Yeah,
that
Marshawn
could be
Lloyd.
that could be one of them.
Yeah, he went to the Packers. He's going to be playing behind Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs just got that contract. I know there's an out every year, but it's still, what, a 3-year, something like that?
4-year. It's basically
4 years.
It's basically 4 1-year contracts.
Yeah. So who knows? I think he was a top 5 running back in my rankings before the draft, and now I just don't think he's draftable. I'll let someone else draft him, and then maybe in November, December, then I'll go trade for him for real cheap.
Reggie, same question.
I just think Malachi Corley, there's very little faith that everybody here on the podcast or live cast has in him. He doesn't move the needle with his landing spot. I would hope they play the Gibson in the slot over him. Like, I don't see anything to be seen with Aaron Rodgers with him. I don't think that matches up the best.
So I'm going to go with the draft capital and more than the pick or than the landing spot. Jamie, I'm glad you didn't bring this guy up. Reggie, we just met, but thank you for not bringing this guy up because I'm about to go on a rant. And I think Jamie knows where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where it's going.
The landing spot I like. But when you get drafted as late as Troy freaking Franklin, you're not going to get drafted by me in the second round. And this is very disappointing. This is very, very disappointing. This breaks my heart. Troy Franklin, I loved you. But you're on the curb. I like you still. I'm probably going to draft you in some third rounds. But when you get drafted in the 5th round, when you were supposed to be a fringe first-round talent in the NFL, we got some issues. And then you get drafted to go play with Bo Nix and Sean Payton so Sean Payton could ruin you again. I mean, I'm still going to draft him, Jamie. But, so, Reggie, I also write for a different site. So I do, I podcast here and I write for another site. I did a full-on rookie profile on the man that went out a week before the draft saying he was going to be a fringe wide receiver, a fringe round 1, be drafted in the beginning of round 2 in the NFL draft. Worked on this article for I don't know how many days, how many articles. I even messaged Jamie while I'm writing it going, I'm doing all my research, I'm figuring it out, I'm putting everything together. And then he does this to me. So, I am sorry, but I had to go on a little rant about Troy Franklin, so I am happy that Jamie did not take my player. He is right. Marshawn Lloyd, you were my number 1 RB going into the draft. Yes, Reggie, Marshawn Lloyd was my RB1 going into the draft, and that got ruined too. So, Jamie, next question. We'll only go a couple more rounds. It's already an hour and 10 in. But, Jamie, who was a player that you, because it was only a 2-round draft, you couldn't take, but who was a player that you were excited about more than consensus?
It's actually going to be the Patriots' true alpha wide receiver.
Yes,
1.
This is the true alpha. This is the true alpha.
Javon Baker. This dude's a dog, man. And I do like Polk. All right. He's a great NFL player, but for fantasy-wise, I love Javon Baker. Like, he wants to get better every single snap. Like, at the Senior Bowl, he was looking good, and then one of the interviewers was like, "Oh, you look good out there." He was like, "No, I could do this better." So he's going to keep working at it. He could be the Amon-Ra St. Brown type guy that just like shoots up value. So we'll see what happens with him. I love the player, and we'll see what happens with the landing spot. But they look like they're going in the right direction, building for the future. So I'm grabbing him in the third round, all drafts.
Definitely. Reggie, who is a guy that you like better than consensus? Like for the third, it could be a second rounder that we didn't take or a third rounder.
I'm going to be a homer right here. Malik Washington.
Damn
I don't
you.
know how I stopped the screensaver and everything. I prepped this one. That man, Yak, like, what is it? I'm waiting. I think I'm kind of on my lunch break. I looked something about his medicals. Like there has to be a reason, and if anybody knows in chat, let me know why.
It has to do with medicals, but they're not saying what.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out quite yet. But he's so explosive. What I loved, the landing spot isn't bad. The draft capital is. Like I expected him to be taken higher.
Yeah,
I'll leave that right there for 30 seconds.
I remember I posted something in one of our group chats, and Mike's like, "Go check my Twitter." So,
go check my Twitter, damn it.
Yeah, because I like the landing spot.
I absolutely love it. That's who I was taking. So give me 5 seconds.
You're good.
Another one that I like. Actually, I'm going to double down on a certain school that we've already talked about. And it's kind of surprising because I wasn't high on him, and he is good. I like him in the third round, but he is definitely a future play. But like we all know, when you get to the third round of rookie drafts, a lot of it's dart throws. And if you can get a third rounder to perform, me and Jamie and Jordan last year in season and preseason talked about this team. They had a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 combo, but 2 was coming off an injury. People didn't know how wide receiver 1 was going to do. Wide receiver had another 1,000-yard season and got a new contract. But Chris Godwin didn't do much, guys. Jalen McMillan out of Washington, I think, could be sneaky in that third round. People are overlooking him partly because the draft capital that he got compared to the draft capital that the guy Reggie brought up in Jalen Polk. So I'm taking McMillan as a guy that could sneak up.
Yeah, R.I.P. Trey Palmer.
And don't get me started. I'm upset. R.I.P. Trey Palmer. So I'm going to throw it around the horn. This is going to be our last topic of the night. Talk about a rookie or two any way you want. Negative, positive, sleeper, slam dunk, but it's up to you. Go for it, Jamie.
One of my sleeper guys before the draft, and I noticed in my rookie drafts, he's not so much of a sleeper anymore, but Ben Sinnott or Ben Sano.
However you say it.
Yeah, it's actually Sano, or I don't know. Well, anyway, dude, you know me, Mr. Athletic Profile, right? Dude had a 98% burst, 94 agility, 95th catch radius. Like, talk about Mr. Athletic Profile. This guy fits the bill, man. And he landed in Washington. I think that's a great spot for him. And I'm going to try to get him as like many spots as I can, because even in college, like he broke where'd he go? Kansas State.
He's a Kansas State Wildcat.
Yeah, so like he broke the Kansas State reception record, yards record, and touchdown record for tight ends.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's a beast. And I knew you were going to bring in Athletic Profile at least one more time in the show. Reggie, what do you got, buddy?
I like a late round Jordan Travis with the Jets. Great landing spot. Not expected to produce this year. Future play. If he can get his footwork together, he's a little erratic, but extremely athletic before the injury. I think he'll do well sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. You stash him. There's one other guy I'll throw out there, if you guys don't mind. Theo Johnson with the Giants.
Yes.
Theo Johnson. Waller might retire. They have Daniel Bellinger. They now have Malik Neighbors. He's massive. He's athletic. We don't have the best history from Penn State tight ends, but you can get him in the 4th round. Maybe I've seen him go undrafted in one of my drafts.
He's on waiver, and I'm thinking about putting like $80 on him.
Yeah, there's other tight ends too that I can't get them all on one team, but I'm making my rounds with the Eric Alls. Like
Yep,
after
that's
the
one of my
draft, I'm
targets.
I'm making room for them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give two takes on something. One, I'm gonna just stick. I was gonna go negative, but I'm not going to. But one that I want to bring up, you brought up Jordan Travis, another rookie that I want to bring up. And if you follow me, if you're listening and you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen a meme that I made earlier in the weekend. It's the Undertaker and AJ Styles, where AJ Styles is looking and Undertaker's behind him. And it says Derek Carr and the Undertaker is Spencer Rattler. And I think Spencer Rattler ended up at the perfect spot for him. He had the talent coming into college. He had the talent going to South Carolina. They weren't the most talented team, but he needed to go. If he was going to end up in a spot like where we thought he could be valuable, he needed to go to a spot where it wasn't a Josh Allen. It wasn't a solidified top 15 guy. He went to a spot that the guy could barely get to the freaking arena on time. I'm just saying, you don't know if Derek Carr is going to throw left, right, center, or freaking fall on the ground. So this is a spot that he could fall to. I mean, if they're 4-4, if they're 5-5 going into week 11 and Carr's stinking, and that you could see him just get a crack, even if it's halfway during a game. So this is the perfect spot for Rattler. I do think it's kind of BS. I watched the whole entire show. I watched every season. I don't know if everyone knows what I'm talking about, but there's a show called QB1. It's on Netflix. It's about high school quarterbacks. They follow 2 or 3. I think it's funny they're singling him out. Yes, he seemed like kind of a, cocky high school kid who knew he was the number 1 recruit. But don't forget, Justin Fields was on that show. Not saying he looked bad, but I'm just saying people never said they went and looked at the show. Justin Fields was on the show. Sam Hartman was on the show. And then if you follow football, college football, there was a prospect out of Las Vegas area at one point, went to Miami, was supposed to be one of the top recruits, was on the show as well. His name was Tate Martell. If you haven't watched the show and you want to see a douchebag on film, go watch Tate Martell. He was my worst character. This guy was not as bad as Tate Martell. I don't care what people say. The other player that I want to bring up, we talked about another player drafted on his team, but I want to bring up Jacob Cowing, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason I want to bring him up is I watched, and that's one of the reasons Reggie's pointing at me. Me and Reggie, don't forget, me and Reggie just met today, but I already know once I say this, Reggie will agree with me, purely based on where we live. We're in Pac-12, old Pac-12 country. We've seen every clip of Jacob Cowing in the past 18 months that this kid has made. He lives in the north area of California, so he hears about Cal and Stanford. I'm down in north of LA, so I hear of USC and UCLA. We all play Arizona. Jacob Cowing, where he got drafted, I'm not saying he's a better player than Pearsall. Pearsall was a reach. Jacob Cowing was a steal. And I'm not talking fantasy. I'm talking real. Yeah. So because of that, in Dynasty, if Jacob Cowing, if you're in a 3-round rookie draft and Cowing doesn't get selected, or you're in a 4th and you have to pick him at 410, 411, 412, I am going to the waiver wire in my 3-round rookie drafts and I'm trying to grab this guy. Because you can put him on your taxi squad. And I hate to say it, 49er fans, in 2025, either Debo or Ayuk is going to be in a different uniform. So these two can. And the thing, Jamie said it about Trey Palmer, so I'm going to say it about the other one, Jamie. Rest in peace, Danny Gray, because you just got ixnayed out of the locker room. Does anybody have anything they want to say about any of the players the 3 of us brought up?
No, I mean, they're all good players. Go
all
grab
good.
them.
Yeah. We'll do our sign-offs. I'm going to do it reverse, Jamie, just so Reggie can get a gist of how you do yours. So, Jamie, sign off, buddy.
Yeah, man. Find me over on the X Machine, Jamie Perogue, over here at Going for Two on the cheat sheet every Tuesday, or right now every other Tuesday. And then look for my articles at the Fantasy Six Pack coming out soon. We're doing some IDP content with them. Besides that, yeah, I'm always in the chats on almost every show, every network you can find, all over Facebook.
So basically what that means is Jamie doesn't have a life. Reggie, sign away your first show, man.
But thank you guys for having me. I had a great time. I am Reggie, fantasy football commissioner extraordinaire, and you can find me on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, the X Machine, under the Network One. That's TH 2 3s and the word network and the number one. Hope to see y'all soon. Return.
You guys know where to find me on the X Machine. Drop the mic FF. If you didn't see me, I just held up my phone. If you ever need graphic work, I'm not a professional, but Jamie can attest. I have gotten how much better, Jamie?
Oh, you're awesome.
I mean, I've gotten I'm even proud of a
You're
couple
always
I've done.
good. Keeps getting better.
I keeps getting better. Like the ones I did for the draft, a couple of them I'm shocked on. I haven't even shown you my Roman Wilson one. I'll send it to you. I did Roman. I did Jermaine. So for people know, I did Malik Washington. I did Jermaine Burton. I did Roman Wilson. I did Trey Benson. I did one that is if you saw it, I put it out on Twitter. It's a who would you draft, either or, and I put Drake May and McCarthy. That one's cool. But other than that, you can find me here every Tuesday night with Jamie and now Reggie. You can also find me. My articles are usually on Dynasty Nerds. I am coming out with one in the next week or so. Not for sure exactly about what yet. Other than that, if you ever need me, hit me up on the X, and see you every other Tuesday night. This has been the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Have a nice night, everyone, and peace out.